This is certainly not an easy subject to research. There is tons of information out there, and because of its importance, there is also a lot of disinformation. I have gone through the sources I found coherent and in tune with my own feeling on the subject, and I've done my best to write a version which makes the most sense to me, and hopefully to the readers as well. When we are researching the old galactic wars and conflicts between species, we need to try to figure out the agenda of the source. For example, if we would interview an American soldier who comes back from the Iraq War, proud of his efforts, and then interview an Iraqi resistance man who is against the US invasion about the same event, we would get two entirely different stories. If we then interview a neutral Norwegian reporter who was present in Iraq as well, we would get a third story. We have the same problem when trying to sort out the different channeled material we have at our convenience, and even the old clay and stone tablets were written by somebody, and we don't know how biased these somebodies were. Sometimes we can verify some of it by comparing it with other scriptures from around the world, which seem to be unrelated to each other but still tell a similar story. Yet, our galactic history is always a work in progress and may change as new information can be looked at and evaluated. Another problem we face is that time is perceived differently depending on where in the multiverse we are. Here on Earth we have our ways of counting time, while others calculate it in other terms. Sometimes the channeled entities are doing their best to adjust to our way of thinking, but it's not always going to be accurate. Thus, depending on whom we ask, we may get a different time frame as of when a certain event happened. A metaphysical source which was notorious for this was the RA Collective. They admitted to that they had big problems translating our Earth time to their concept of universal time. If we also add to this different timelines, which are based on different realities, it becomes even more complex. We can only do our best to work with what we have and make sense out of it. Hence, it is always a work in progress, which is perfectly fine. To a large extent, I have used Lyssa Royal and Keith Priest as sources to this lighter version of the galactic history. This is because their information tie neatly into what I am going to expand greatly upon in the second level of learning. Lyssa Royal is an internationally known channel and author. Germane considers himself to be a non-physical group consciousness associated with the Orion Light, a future integrated version of the galactic family of which we on Earth are a part. He chose the name Germane because of its English definition, coming from the same source or significantly relevant to. There is no connection to Saint Germain. A similar thing can be said about Jane Roberts, the Seth material. The channeled entity Seth has nothing to do with the mythological Seth. It seems like Germane may be a faction of the Greys, and therefore many people have discarded Royal or Priest's very informative piece of work as disinformation. I don't. I consider her being just as valid as any of the other high-quality channels. It is sad that just because the entities who speak may be of a species that has a bad reputation because of what some of them are doing, we humans throw out the baby. I apologize if I use this phrase a lot in these papers, but it explains it so well. Manuel Lameroy, whom I also use to some degree, is the founder and on the advisory board of the Exopolitics Institute of South Africa. He is also a regression therapist as well as a researcher into exopolitics and metaphysics. Hence, we can use his case studies to determine what is more likely to have happened in our distant past. He also seems to be in agreement with much of what Royal and Priest are saying. A third source is Dr. A.R. Borden because of his scientific perspective on the metaphysical tantrums. Other sources than these three, when they are used, will be footnoted. A fourth source are the Pleiadians, channeled by Barbara Marciniak. The next video is on the way. Panspermia, Life in the Universe is Seeded by Creator God, written by Wes Penre. You may also purchase Wes Penre's books on Amazon or visit wespenrevideos.com. All of the levels of the Wes Penre papers are available on wespenre.com. I am Anton Karamanutsa. I keep making covers on the Wes Penre papers for educational purpose.